What's going on, everyone? The market is right back towards its all-time high. In today's video, we're going to cover today's inflation report. We're going to cover why the market moved the way it did today. We also have some crazy news with Boeing, which is something that I haven't seen with any other company in the stock market ever. So you better tune in for that. But we also have a lot of great setups and predictions for tomorrow. I can't believe 2 days already are past us this week, so let's make sure that the remaining 3 are strong. But with that being said, Tom, let's not waste any time and let's get right into it.
Yeah, the market started recovering back up quite a bit today. Yesterday, we saw a ton of consolidation. Today, we're starting to come back up off of that dip from Friday. The QQQ's trying to get back. The SPY got pretty close to all-time highs. The all-time high is right around 518, like 20, and the SPY got to around 517 at close today. That's actually right where it is in after hours, too. So looking at the market for tomorrow, Mike, it's running up into a major resistance, but there's a ton of momentum. Are we going to see new all-time highs again? We just might, because a lot of these tech stocks continue to go up today, like Nvidia. I noticed even Microsoft had like a huge jump today up to like 415.40. They were up like 2.6%. So let's go. We're seeing some good price action coming back in. I will say I was expecting it more to the downside, but hey, the market surprised me today.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that the inflation data didn't necessarily come in a great way. The year-over-year inflation rate came in at 3.2%, and it was only expected to come in around 3.1%, so it's certainly not ideal. And some areas of the economy are starting to see prices increase in a relatively big way. Again, that's not something that you want to see, but sometimes the market says, don't really care, I'm going up anyways, and that was kind of what we saw today.
Man, Mike, I'll tell you, I'm not buying any juice over the next couple months. It seems like it's a little overpriced, but inflation's getting pretty crazy out there, right? And while the reading only jumped up a little bit by 0.1%, it wasn't the best sign, and I was really surprised to see all the market react this way. If we go to pre-market on the SPY, I'll actually circle the initial move. This was the initial run to the upside right there off of this data, so I was pretty surprised by that. Now, when the market opened, it ran back down, but overall, Mike, I was surprised to see the market continue up off that, considering inflation got a little hotter. So we'll have to see what the Feds do at the next meeting, which is actually next Wednesday.
Yeah, so that'll be very interesting, and I'm very excited for that. But I think the market didn't even know which direction it wanted to go today, because right when the data was released, the market actually started to fall, and then it popped up like a couple minutes later, and then once the market actually opened, it started falling again. But as we all know, the stock market has been so euphoric and bullish over the past couple of months, where it's like, as long as the market isn't in complete free fall, it seems like there's like an endless wave of buyers that just swoop in, right? It's just a matter of time. And looking at today's heat map, some of the stocks that really stuck out are Meta, Nvidia, Amazon, LLY, and others. And, you know, when you have a stock like Nvidia, especially up 7% on the day, just like we talked about yesterday, that has a very strong direct influence on the market, but even more importantly, it affects the sentiment. When people see Nvidia rocketing up, it just puts people in like a, euphoric, it spreads the euphoria is what I'm trying to say. And at the same time, just like we saw on Friday, when Nvidia and other big tech stocks, start to pull back, it also has a pretty strong bearish effect on the market. But right now, still, all eyes are on these chip stocks because they're still running the show.
Yeah, exactly. And that move at the end of the day was actually pretty explosive with Nvidia too, getting all the way up to 924 or almost 925. And as I look at it here, Mike, if you would have told me this morning it opened that I would think it was at 925, I would have said you're nuts, right? I was maybe looking at like the 915 resistance, but that was just one hell of a move there at the end of the day. Shout out to the Power Hour players today who played that breakout. But looking at it tomorrow, Mike, I mean, will the all-time high come into play? It's running up today. Maybe watch for like 950 overhead, 960. And I know everybody's waiting for that $1,000 mark as, it's just such a big psychological level.
Yeah, so no matter what, keep a very close eye on Nvidia right now. If you picked one stock in the entire market to look at, it is Nvidia. They are definitely running the show. And that doesn't mean you have to trade Nvidia. It's just like use it as a gauge of like the market sentiment, because this is where like almost all of the action is at. But shifting over to a different topic, one company that what I'll call is doing the opposite of Nvidia over the past year is Boeing. This stock just keeps on falling and having worse and worse news released every single day, it seems like. So today's round of bad news for Boeing, I guess we could start with the New Zealand news, where basically a Boeing plane nosedived down out of nowhere, and like 50 passengers were injured. 12 people were put in the hospital, and like the nosedive was so bad that some passengers like literally broke through the internal ceiling of the plane. So that's pretty crazy, and as you can guess, it's not the best look for Boeing.
It's really not, Mike. And, we've been talking about bad news on Boeing for the past few days now, and it's like it just keeps stacking up, right? Like there's landing gear problems. We had that problem with the door a couple weeks ago. One of them was on fire. Now we have this issue out of New Zealand. This one's obviously a more serious issue. People are actually injured this time. It's getting pretty serious out there for Boeing, and they started to really fall off today. I know that Southwest Airlines even had a bad report come out earlier. That was some pretty bad news, but I think the next headline will be the most shocking one.
Yeah, I have never seen this before with any stock I have ever looked at. So basically, there was this ex-Boeing employee who testified against Boeing, and he was mysteriously found dead inside his truck recently. So he had a bullet wound to the head, and he died. But again, it's awfully suspicious, and it's quite interesting how this happened right after he testified against Boeing. So I don't know what's going on here, but I don't know, this Boeing situation is a little bit weird.
Given the time frame and everything, this is a very weird situation. I mean, obviously there has to be some speculation here, so let us know in the comments what you guys think. But yeah, I mean, too bad that this guy, obviously had to have that happen, and hopefully Boeing did not do it, but it leaves you thinking, right?
Yep, so that is the stock market drama for the day. Tom, I know it's not a giant earnings week, but let us know on the schedule. Let us know what's on the schedule.
Yeah, tomorrow before open, we have Dollar Tree, the biggest stock in the market there. Just kidding, by the way, if anyone's wondering. Lennar and After Hours, Dollar General on Thursday, Adobe and Blink on Thursday and After Hours. So not a huge week as far as that goes, but we do have a little bit. And then going over to the economic calendar on Thursday, there is some PPI and retail sales data. And then Friday, we do have Michigan consumer sentiment.
Yeah, so it's a pretty slow week in terms of economic data and earnings reports, which is not a bad thing in any way, shape, or form, because sometimes when you don't have to worry about a big earnings release or a giant economic data report, that just lets you trade the price action how it comes along. So awesome stuff there, Tom, and let's start talking about some setups for tomorrow. One stock I'm watching very closely right now is Alibaba, and it's to the upside. So this one had a pretty good move today. It hasn't moved in like a truly explosive way just yet, but it definitely is starting to move in the right direction. I would love to see a breakout above $76.80 with this one, and as long as we see good intraday price action, then I will definitely look at this one to the upside. The main thing I don't want to see is just a lot of weakness. So if we see the stock open up tomorrow and it's just barely moving, or if it's falling down, I wouldn't really be interested in it. However, if we see a nice move up from open and constant pressure on that high of day, I think that would present a pretty good opportunity to the upside.
Yeah, these China stocks did very well today. Whether you look at Baba or JD or Baidu, I mean, they all did fairly well. They had pretty good moves. Baidu had a pretty good one too. But with my first play, I'm going to go ahead and look at Shopify for tomorrow. And this is actually a play to the upside. It ran up 1.85% today. I like this resistance it's hitting today. It's almost double topping. So if it can break 76.70, then I'll look at more calls up. But again, we just need to see that solid breakout and that solid momentum momentum coming back in tomorrow. If the market opens up and the SPY is like gapping back down or something, then obviously don't try to play Shopify up.
All right, sounds good. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is Zoom. And what I really like about this one right now is that it moves like however it wants. It has basically no correlation to the overall market. So whether the market goes up or down, it doesn't really matter for this one. And I think that's very great in this current market environment. So I am watching Zoom to the upside. It has been moving in a pretty good way ever since it reported earnings back towards the end of February. I would love to see a breakout right above the $70.50 level. And it's kind of like the Alibaba trade where it's like, if we see a breakout above that level and, just any meaningful bullish price action, then there's opportunity. The only thing I don't want to see is, the stock either not moving at all or if it's pulling back. But either way, I'm watching this one pretty closely to the upside for tomorrow.
Yeah, I was actually waiting for this one to start to break out today, and it started to break out a little bit above like $70.30, but didn't really get that true run going. So I'll definitely watch 70.50 tomorrow, Mike. With my next play, that's going to be I would say the best stock in the market, right? Like it's everybody's favorite. No, I'm just kidding. It's Walmart. But hey, I was looking at the options chain on the weekly options. They're actually doing pretty good today. Even though the stock only moved 1.2%, there were some options 50, 70, 100 plus percent around the money. So with Walmart tomorrow, if we continue to see this run to the upside and we get a nice continuation, I will go ahead and look at calls. We had a really good move today, and you can see on the daily chart, it's actually breaking out to new highs. So let's go Walmart. Hopefully it keeps continuing here. It seems like it's on that never-ending freight train.
Right? Like a bunch of the big tech stocks get all the hype and attention, like Nvidia, Meta, Google, stocks like that move in big ways. But sometimes when you look at these more boring companies like Walmart, they actually move pretty well. So good stuff there, Tom. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't looked at Walmart in a little while, but it definitely is doing pretty good.
Yeah, it is. And, I can't believe, like, when you go to a Walmart daily chart or you even go to Target or Costco, like, these stocks have truly been explosive this year. And I know a lot of the market has, but just keep your eyes on them. They're making new highs.
All right, sounds good. Well, it's now about that time for today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have Baidu, B-I-D-U, to the upside.
Yeah, amazing move today. If they can break above this 105.60 resistance, then go ahead and look at calls.
All right, with the next one, we have Netflix to the downside.
NFLX, one of everybody's favorites out there. If this one ends up breaking back under 605 today, then look at puts.
All right, and then with the last one, we have TLT for both directions again, and this one did trade lower after today's inflation reading.
Yeah, it did. That pre-market move was pretty nuts. If it ends up moving down under 94.70 at that low of day, then go ahead and look at puts. If it ends up running back above 95.20, then look at calls.
Yep, and for those of you who don't know, when TLT falls, that means interest rates are rising, and when TLT rise, that means interest rates are falling. But like Tom mentioned, we have the upside level for calls, and we have the downside level for puts for TLT. Don't forget about the downside level with Netflix, and then the upside level with Baidu. These three stocks are on watch for tomorrow. Only if they break above the levels will they be opportunities. We want to see strong breakthroughs of the levels Tom listed and then continuations in those directions. If the stocks don't break the levels, then find a new setup. We are looking for momentum, and these are for short-term trades. But with that being said, let's jump right into today's $2.1 million big money trade of the day. And we are looking at yet another energy stock, and that is CHK. So today, the big money put around $2.1 million into the CHK 90 strike call options that expire on January 17th of 2025. So these call options definitely have some time to them, and I know that might turn some people off because everyone wants a trade that's going to move by tomorrow, but sometimes the trades that require more time end up being the better ones. But either way, energy prices have been slowly increasing in the short term, and throughout the rest of the year, there is definitely a big risk that energy prices can increase even more given the war in Ukraine, as well as the rising tensions in the Middle East, let alone all of the other craziness going on in the world. But looking at CHK, these call options aren't too far out of the money. There's some good time to them, and I think they are presenting a pretty good risk-to-reward if you're willing to give them the time they need. If you're looking to trade this tomorrow, then that's not how the setup is supposed to be played. However, if you're willing to give it time and energy prices continue to move the way they have in the short term, I think it could be a pretty interesting setup.
Yeah, and in the short term, there's a bit of a channel going on here too. So like if you were looking for short-term opportunities, there's a pretty big resistance here. You know, if it starts getting a good breakout above that resistance, that might be a good spot to start to enter this one to follow the big money. Because, you know, if it starts to run up, you don't want to necessarily miss the beginning of that run. So maybe just make it break the channel and then look to follow that up. But I really like this play, Mike. It's an energy play. I'm pretty bullish on energy over this year. And yeah, let's go. You know, oil's starting to move up. We even have the uranium stocks, say like CCJ, moving up as well. So, you know, maybe we're seeing some recoveries coming back on these oil companies and energy stocks in general.
Yeah, love to see it. You know, whether we're looking at energy companies or we're looking at some of these chip stocks or we're looking at, as Tom said, such a popular stock like Walmart, the number one thing to keep in mind is be adaptable. Sometimes good news comes out and the market falls. Sometimes bad news comes out and the market rises. But you have to be adaptable. You have to follow the money and just follow the momentum. The market is moving in a pretty good way right now. And when I say that, I mean like the market is actually moving, right? Like when we look at the heat map, we have Nvidia up 7% on the day. There are times in the market where the market just does nothing, right? And it's like when the market moves up by 0.003%, there's very little opportunity in those situations. But what we are seeing now is certainly not that. So just be willing to adapt to changing market conditions, whether you're a bull or a bear. Follow the money. That's going to be the key for not only tomorrow, but even the next couple of weeks. We have a big options expiration coming up, and as we all know, we're set for a very exciting year regardless. So one other thing I want to talk about really quickly is our member of the day today, which is Skiz. Huge shout out to you. We could see his post in the Profits channel right here with Boeing. He did very well. He's pretty new to the chat, but he's been a great member. So huge shout out to Skiz and keep up all of the great work. If you guys are looking to capitalize off of the short-term action in the market, definitely check out the first link in the description and the comments down below. Come join Tom and I in the Stocked Up trading floor. You'll get full access to our army of trading bots. You can chat with Tom and myself all day long. You can attend our live events. You get access to the big money plays before they're posted on YouTube, and a bunch of other things. If I explained everything, this video would be pretty long, but you have access to everything you could possibly need, and in the worst case scenario, you can cancel at any time, but it is the real deal. Besides that, Tom, do you have any final thoughts before we close out?
Yeah, there's not really too much on the economic calendar tomorrow, so it's going to be a good day for price action. The SPY is very close to that all-time high. If we start to break 518, watch for some breakouts. You know, we'll probably be seeing the big companies out there like Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, and others continuing. In after hours, Nvidia is still popping up, Mike. Now it's up to 927, breaking 925. So who knows where we're going to open tomorrow, but hey, at least we're getting that nice movement coming in, and it's creating amazing opportunities. Just don't get stuck in one direction. Like Mike said, always be adaptable.
It's a great time to be a trader, Tom. I love to see it. One last thing is if you haven't already joined the Stocked Up crew, consider demolishing that subscribe button down below. If you do, you'll get our videos recommended to you more often. Every single night we talk about the top stocks to watch. We go over all the important information you need to know, and we try to get all of this done in 20 to 25 minutes or less. We cover charts you won't find anywhere else, and why not join the Stocked Up crew? Besides that, thank you all so much for watching, and let's make this week a great one.